What would the 49ers potentially lose if they kept Kyle? What's the downside?
Now, again, everybody who's watching, I am not there. I've never looked Kyle Shanahan in the eyes. I don't walk in that locker room. I don't look the players in the eyes, which I made a business of doing when I was working. I can't prove it, but I have the feeling there's something wrong on that team. And I'm saying it's more than injuries. I'm not there. I'm going to call it the X factor. I don't know what the X factor is. I feel starting with Shanahan, because he creates the code, he creates the mood, he creates the culture. It's not there anymore. I feel, Iggy, these are no longer the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the team that I covered. They're not the team I admired. They're not the team I was proud to cover. There's something wrong here.
They're not the team they were.
No. And I think there are glimpses you see of it. The guy quitting in the middle of a game.
Debo and Tabor
Samuel,
Pepper.
Yeah, choke. Yeah, it was a baby, but he choked him. I mean, things like that. And I'm thinking, I know how teams work. If this stuff is in public, what the heck is going on behind the scenes that the media doesn't see? Because I'm telling you, every team I ever knew about, I would learn there was other stuff going on. So I think one of the downsides of keeping Kyle Shanahan, I think there's going to be more of the same next season. A dysfunctional team with a whacked out culture.
Yeah, a whacked out. I think we can see the culture deteriorating in front of us. There was the shorts incident. There was the hat incident. I mean, all these little things that are going on with this team, and it seems like their ability to block all that out and focus on winning has ended.
It seems like that to me, and it seemed like all those guys holding out. Where was the focus on winning then? None of those guys who held out put the team first. And you could say, well, it's a business. And then at a certain point, I mean, you're all going to be made for life. Made for life. Could you just maybe take a little less so somebody else could have a little more and play? They seem to be more on their own than 49ers. They don't seem, when I used to cover Joe Montana and Steve Young, two very important players, they were 49ers. That's how they thought of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They were 49ers. I don't know that some of these people feel that way. They're like mercenaries.
Yeah.
And I think that contributes to what we're calling a bit of a fractured culture. And Iggy, that comes from the top. That comes from Jed and his parents and John Lynch. John Lynch, by the way, was never a 49er.
No. And neither was Kyle.
No.
His dad was. I don't know. With Kyle, it seems like the team is all about him and his legacy. Whereas when Harbaugh was the coach, it felt like he was more of like a steward of like what this all means. And he sort of understood that. And it was bigger than him. And he was honored to be the next person in the line of coaches. He knew Bill Walsh. He had a relationship with Bill Walsh. Kyle seems disconnected from all that. And this is all about his legacy, not their legacy.
You know, Harbaugh used to go into Bill's office at Stanford and they would talk offensive football. He used to sit like a pupil.
Yep.
And they would talk offensive football. I know that. Bill told me.
Mm-hmm.
So what else is that the only thing they lose?
No, there's more that they lose close games all the time with him. And it seems like they lost close games with Jimmy, with whoever the quarterback is. They find ways to lose games when they're close. I got to put that on him. They're going to keep doing that. And they're going to be playing more close games because their team isn't as dominant as it was in the past.
Yes. I love what you're saying. And I would add another thing. I think the league has kind of caught up to him. And the way I look at it, they don't score a lot of points anymore. For a guy who's supposed to be such an offensive genius, I mean, people are hurt, but He had Debo Samuel. He had Juwan Jennings. I mean, he has George Kittle. Can you imagine what Andy Reid could do with those three players?
Yeah. Yeah. He's talking about all the injuries he had this year. You have the best tight end in football, one of the best tight ends ever.
Yeah.
And there's games where he gets one catch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get to him in my progressions. Change your progression.
Yeah.
Get to him. I
Freaking
mean,
find him.
with those weapons, imagine what Andy Reid would do. That's all he
Yeah.
would need.
Yeah. That's all he would need.
I mean, look at the Rams. They have the two good wide receivers. They don't have that much.
No.
They have 9 wins.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
Niners still have weapons, and I found it very interesting that Debo Samuel had a breakout game when it didn't count anymore. I'm not blaming him. Maybe he was hurt. Maybe he had some, he was worried about prepayment of taxes. I don't know what was going on in his mind, but I did know when they needed him, the ball went through his hands. Ball went through his hands when they needed him. And this game, he was Jim Brown. I never saw a transformation like that in my life. And what's more, I wasn't impressed by it. You know what, Debo? Do it when it matters. And you know what, Brock? Do it when it matters.
Yeah. And with Kyle, he says like just a couple plays away. If they hadn't just dropped, if Brock had hit this throw or this guy hadn't dropped this pass or whatever, like, yeah, but the problem is in the close games, those few plays, you and your team always botch those plays and you lose.
Yeah. He always says,
you're not good in those few plays.
People want to ask him big picture questions and he refuses. Well, on this one, we botched the snap, and on that one, and that one, and that one. Okay, whatever. But we're allowed to say that the league has caught up to you. In fact, Mike McDaniel, who is supposedly buddies with Shanahan and learned from him, outcoached him on Sunday. He outcoached him. I mean, that's not a good team. They can't run the ball. He got the ball out so fast, they were like little runs. And they didn't get a breath on Tua. Why couldn't Kyle do things like that? I mean, if Brock is so good, I mean, he has this great tight end. He has other players. You could do screen passes and all kind of stuff.
Debo's playing well.
Yeah, Debo, you got all kind of players to do that. How come the other guy could do it and not you?
Because he's better than Kyle.
Well,
sorry, that was the right answer, though, right? I thought you were asking.
I love your answer. Yeah.
You know what's funny? Kyle has this, like, it's not really his coaching tree because they were his colleagues in Washington, but McDaniel, McVay, LaFleur, they all work together. They all beat Kyle. He's 0-4 against them this year. McVay outcoached him twice. LaFleur outcoached him once, and McDaniel outcoached him once. It's embarrassing.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so there's other downsides to keeping Kyle Shanahan. I mean, unless you want to keep talking about his offense, because his defense stinks too. And they're going to bring back the same defensive coordinator. They will.
Okay.
So there's that.
What's wrong with the defense?
They can't stop the run. That wide 9 isn't particularly good. It doesn't stop the run. It doesn't generate pressure. I mean, Tua wasn't intimidated by it. I don't know. And also they're awful on third down and in the red zone at the end of games too. It seems like he's just as big of a choker as Kyle Sorensen. Biggest chokers on the team: Kyle, Sorensen, Brock, and Jake Moody. That's 4.
That's some chokage.
That's chokage. The coordinator, the head coach, the quarterback, the kicker. Other than that, the Niners are nails when it matters.
Oh, you give me the giggles. Hold on. I want to make a case for the defense next season. The defense. They're going to get Greenlaw back.
They're going to get... I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at Greenlaw. I'm laughing at the idea of Kyle getting Greenlaw back and then finding a way to mess it up.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. They get the poor guy back, and all of a sudden he's hurt again. Or he's I don't know. So if you want to get rid of the defensive coordinator, I have no problem with that.
Yeah. The problem is that the Niners offense regressed more than their defense did this year. Like if he fired Nick Sorensen, Josh Dubow could tweet something like Niners offense regresses 7 points per game from 23 to 2024. Fires defensive coordinator.
Iggy, have we ever seen anything like that before with them?
Niners offense scores 19 points in regulation in the Super Bowl. Kyle fires the defensive coordinator. Yeah. Yeah, he can't fire Sorensen because Kyle did a worse job this year.
He could fire. He could fire him.
Then you have to fire himself next, though.
You know what? He's not going to fire himself. That's where the upper ups come, and we'll see after next season. If it's a bad season again, they'll have to call him in and say, here's a statement here that you'll sign. I really enjoyed my time here, and I learned, and blah 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 blah. But I want to spend more time with my family.
I don't think the Niners have the guts to fire Kyle Shanahan this offseason because
I don't either.
Because he could go somewhere else and have success, and they could hire someone to replace him who stinks. I think they're terrified of that. Do you think deep down, secretly, privately, they would like a team such as the Bears to give him a call and make him an offer, an outrageous offer in a trade for Kyle Shanahan, an offer they can't refuse?
Okay. You're asking me to speculate on someone's state of mind, which is always a hard thing to do. But
if you were the Niners, say you're the Niners, all of them, and you're them.
Don't you low and announce and say, if you're the Niners, I'm never going to be the Niners. I would think deep down in their heart, if the Bears made an offer they couldn't refuse, they would accept it. That's what I would think.
Chicago, you're on the clock. Get John Lynch's number, find it, call him.